friends of mine, listeners, and whether it's in personal conversations or on social media or whatnot, that a lot of people have said, man, Guy, you're spending a lot of time on social media. You're spending a lot of time on the radio talking about the Indy mayor's race and talking about being upset over the fact that both Joe Hogsett, and no surprise here, but Joe Hogsett is proposing gun control as part of his so-called public safety plan. But what came as much more of a surprise, the Republican candidate for mayor in Indianapolis, Jefferson Shreve, came out and, for the most part, just copied Joe Hogsett's gun control plan and made it part of his plan. Also his quote-unquote public safety plan. And yeah, I've been upset about that. I've been talking a lot about it. I've been talking a lot about it on the radio and a lot on social media. And so I've had people ask me, Guy, you don't live in Indy. Which is true. I don't. I live in Zionsville. My office is in Carmel. I grew up in Carmel. I was actually born. It's always fun to talk about this with Jason Hammer, whether I'm subbing for Nigel or whether I'm down here for Monday Gun Day. Hope you always tune into that, by the way. 3:35 every Monday on Hammer and Nigel. Monday Gun Day, where I come in. But anyway, I've talked to Jason a lot about it. Jason's a Beech Grove guy. Well, I was born in St. Francis Hospital in Beech Grove. So I was born in Indy, but anyway, my family moved to Carmel when I was very young. I went all the way, from like kindergarten through high school in Carmel, and now I live in Zionsville. My office is in Carmel, though. So people say, man, you live in Zionsville, office in Carmel. Why do you care so much about the mayor's race in Indy? I got a number of answers for that. And I'm going to talk more about that race throughout this show. And by the way, I really want to get your comments on that particular issue. And let's keep pretty focused with the calls this week. Let's talk about the mayor's race. I'm going to talk about the controversy over Jason Aldean's number one country single right now that's actually getting pulled from a lot of radio stations, got pulled from country music television. It's called Try That in a Small Town. In fact, we're going to play parts of that song for our bumper music for the rest of the show, next 2 hours. I'm going to talk a lot about that song and what it means to me, how it's being portrayed, how the woke crowd is trying to cancel Jason Aldean over that show. I'm talking a lot more about that throughout the show. But talking about the Indy mayor's race, here's why I'm talking so much about that. Here's why I've posted so much about it. You go to my Twitter. By the way, I'm still really trying to build my Twitter following. Go to Twitter. It's at Guy Relford. It's just my name. Give me a follow. I've been very, very active on there lately. I'm going to be more and more active going forward. Also on Facebook. And I've posted a lot about the Indy mayor's race. I've talked about it a lot on the show last week. I've talked a lot about it with Hammer and Nigel. And here's why I started to say upset. Upset's not the right word. I'm pissed. I'm angry. I'm mad about the Indy mayor's race because we have a completely incompetent Democrat incumbent mayor in Joe Hogsett. And he's running the city into the ground. And listen, yeah, I was born here. I was raised on the north side. I've been coming downtown my whole life. My first job while I was in law school was as a law clerk working for a tiny little law firm on Delaware Street. My first job as an attorney was for a larger law firm at the corner of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Back then, we called it the Indiana National Bank Building. And I worked down here for years. Most of my cases that I'm involved with as an attorney are in Marion County. I've spent uncountable hours in the city county building, now the new Marion County Criminal Justice Center. I'm down here. I work right here. Where am I broadcasting from right now? 40 Monument Circle in the heart of Indianapolis. So I'm an Indy guy. I don't live here and I don't vote here. But this is where I spend my professional time. This is where my focus is. And the city means a lot to me. The city means a lot to me. I have memories that I'll take with me to my grave about coming down here as a little bitty kid. And my parents showing me the windows at Ayers and Blocks. It's going to take some old people to remember this. And they had these really rudimentary, I mean, compared to what's at Disney and Universal and other places now, as far as what they call it, animatronics or robotics, whatever you want to call it. They have some really basic little animatronics where, somebody's like lighting a candle or a kid's opening a package, and these little, kind of rudimentary displays, but they were magical with snow falling. And that was what Christmas was all about. I mean, Indy's where my heart is. And the city means a lot to me. And I've been really upset that for the last 8 years plus, we've had Joe Hogsett running it into the dirt. The amount of homelessness, the amount of crime, the fact that IMPD wasn't allowed to do its job in the summer of 2020. And we saw huge segments of downtown destroyed, burnt, windows broken, in what I'm sure people would call mostly peaceful protests. People were murdered. People were killed right in downtown Indy during those protests. A lot of it unfolded right below the windows of this studio. And largely because IMPD wasn't allowed to do its job by the Hogsett administration. Oh no, we can't stand in the way of these mostly peaceful protesters who are burning buildings, who are looting businesses. I'm appalled by that. I'm appalled that I got to walk around a crazy guy urinating on Monument Circle. I got to take a wide circle around him so as to not soil my shoes as he's screaming profanities at who knows what. And if you come downtown, that's not a rare occurrence. It's not just people passed out. It's people walking up to you, aggressively panhandling. You've heard the story. Some dude threatened to dust me, kill me, beat me up, whatever, if I didn't give him money as I was walking in the studio to do Hammer and Nigel show. I just say a little prayer, please, God, don't make me shoot this guy. And that's on Monument Circle. It's obscene. It's not the way Indianapolis has ever been before Joe Hogsett, and it's not the way it should be now. So I was actually, and this is so ironic now, I was actually excited about Jefferson Shreve. If for no other reason, then the guy's got a lot of money. And he was, quote unquote, you got to put this in quotes now, a Republican. So the guy's got all kinds of money. He sold his business, which, by the way, he deserves credit for. He built this business up himself. He is a self-made millionaire. Who knows? He may be a billionaire now. He may very likely be a billionaire because he built up this business, Storage Express, and sold it for a reported $590 million. So depending on how much money he had in the bank from running a very successful business before that, he could easily be a billionaire for all I know. I do not know. I know he's got at least $590 million because that's what he sold his business for. So he's got an incredible amount of money. He's got what we call screw you money. And so you got a well-funded guy for once because the Republican Party in the state of Indiana has largely ignored Marion County and Indianapolis. So we can't rely on the Republican apparatchik to come in and support a candidate here in Marion County. So this guy can self-fund. So I'm excited about that. We got a chance to displace Joe Hogsett and get this city back on the right course. And listen, if I lived in Indy, I would have voted for Abdul in the primary just because I like Abdul, I respect Abdul, and I like his politics. But Jefferson Shreve was the forerunner, and no one was surprised when he won. So I'm like, okay, game on. And then what happened? After the primary, and this is so huge, after the primary, we have Jefferson Shreve really release his real plans on how he's going to get elected. We're a little past the quarter hour. It's time to take a break. We'll come back. I'll revisit his real plan on how he's going to get elected, that is candidate Jefferson Shreve. And what's happened this week? What's happened with me? What was the dialogue on social media as between me personally and Jefferson Shreve's quote-unquote chief strategist, what some people are calling his campaign manager? I don't know if that's his title or not, but he's been described multiple times in the media as his chief strategist, a guy named Mark Lubbers. He and I have had a whole bunch of interaction on social media. We've had a little in-your-face conversation on Twitter in particular. What did we have to say? What does that bear out about the Shreve campaign? And a nice little political, historical nugget that I dug up myself. If you see anybody else reporting on this, they need to give me credit because I was the one to break this. I was the one to report it. I'll talk to you about exactly what that is when we come back. Right now, we're taking a break. We'll come back on the Gun Guy Show in just a bit. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
On the campaign trail, Ron DeSantis went to a couple different places.
I'm a very hardcore Trump supporter. This is the most important vote that we're going to have.
Who would be better at legislating, beating Joe Biden,
restoring this country to what the founding fathers envisioned?
Your heart against your mind. Trump against DeSantis. Who you got?
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. I've got a couple versions of my Indiana gun law class, which is by far our most popular class we teach at Tactical Firearms Training. I got a couple of those coming up. We've got Essentials of Indiana Gun Law for Cops. This is for law enforcement, and I'm doing this in partnership with the Columbus Police Department down at City Hall in Columbus, Indiana. And this is for police officers only. This is what police officers need to know, which frankly is, for the most part, exactly what citizens need to know. There are separate rules for cops in some areas. We'll go well into those things. But this is Essentials of Indiana Gun Law for Cops from any department. Again, it's being sponsored by the Columbus Police Department, but we'd love to have you there. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. You know your department will pay for it. You just got to go ask them. And then for the rest of us, for civilians, we've got Essentials of Indiana Gun Law at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range in Avon. The cops class is August 8th in Columbus. The other general class for private citizens is Saturday, August 19th at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range in Avon. We'd love to see you there. They're both $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like your neighbor Jerry.
When we first started looking for different options, we went to the internet. Really, we did choose Galaxy and definitely happy that we did. We first had our front porch and our pool deck done. Decided we loved it so much, we had them out about 10, 11 months later to finish up and do our back porch.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a 15-year warranty.
The crews at Galaxy were great. They actually cared about my property, very punctual, knowledgeable, and just a great group of workers.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
I'm 100% satisfied. It's not slippery and it's not hot. I was very impressed with the product. It's amazing that I don't burn my feet and my 6-year-old doesn't fall.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
Huber has it.
Hubler has all the top brands: Chevy, Buick, GMC, Ford, Acura, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and more. And every new vehicle includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Looking to sell your vehicle? We'll pay you top dollar, even if you don't buy ours. Take it from Brooke Hubler.
You can get a car anywhere, but you can only get a warranty like this at Hubler. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Visit drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
Warranty available on new vehicles except certain models, not transferable or available on leases. Copy of the warranty is available for review at the dealership.
Have you ever dropped off your documents for shredding and wondered what happened to them? At Quick Shred, documents are shred right in front of you at their retail location on East 62nd Street. No appointment needed and convenient curbside assistance is provided. No matter how big or how small, they shred it all. You leave knowing your confidential information has been completely destroyed. Quick Shred is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to 2. Quick Shred at 62nd and Binford Boulevard. Quick Shred.
Whether you're an experienced firearms owner or are just thinking about getting a new firearm, Atkinson Firearms in Greenwood has everything you need. With brands like Glock, Smith & Wesson, Canic, Colt, Henry, SIG, and much more. If Atkinson Firearms doesn't have it, they can get it. Plus accessories, from holsters to ammo and everything between. Atkinson Firearms is firefighter owned and veteran staff with a new larger location. Follow Atkinson Firearms on Facebook. Atkinson Firearms, off County Line Road next to the Greenwood Airport.
Indy Humane, committed to helping Central Indiana's pets in need since 1905. Find your new best friend today. IndyHumane.org. Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at GotYour6.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. If you think that music sounds a little different, I don't play much country music here on the Gun Guy Show. Producer Carl and I usually playing some of that kind of Joe Bonamassa a lot, bluesy rock and roll kind of stuff. But there's a big controversy over that song that you just heard, what I think are the most important lyrics that are creating a lot of the controversy. And we'll talk more about that here later in the show. And we're going to be playing, bits and pieces of that as bumper music, we call it, when we come back from breaks. But let's talk more about this race and why I'm invested in this. And that is, I was all ready to be all in on Jefferson Shreve. I can't personally vote for him because I don't live in this county. But I was all in to support him and all in to see if we couldn't displace Joe Hogsett, who I think has just been a disaster for this city. And, people say, oh, that's your opinion. You know what? Walk around downtown Indianapolis. And anybody who's been doing that, like I have, for 40 years, I just hit my 40-year anniversary of being a lawyer. And where did I get sworn in? Right downtown Indianapolis. Where's my first job as a lawyer? Right downtown. Where's the vast majority of my cases? Right downtown. This is where I work. It's where I broadcast my radio show from the last 9 years. I'm down here. I see it. I experience it. I live it. And Indy it's not just the murder numbers. Yeah, we're setting multiple records every year, although they were down some after we passed constitutional carry last year. But we set records pretty much every year in Marion County, and that's been a trend. It's been a trend in fairness before Joe Hogsett, but it's sure as hell been a continuing trend under him. And so I was excited about Jefferson Shreve. So here we go. Now we're getting into it. It's July. We got an election in November. We're past the primary. And what does Jefferson Shreve do? He comes out, and the cornerstone of his campaign strategy is to release his public safety plan, which includes more than just this, in fairness, too. It's more than just gun control. He wants to appoint a public safety director. Because remember Joe Hogsett when he ran the first time. So I'm going to be my own public safety director. I'm going to take ownership for fighting crime in Indianapolis. And I'm going to take charge of this, and I'm going to get the job done. Well, he hasn't done that. It's done exactly the opposite. So Shreve says he's going to appoint someone who's going to be a professional who doesn't have to also perform all the other responsibilities of a mayor and can focus on public safety. Okay, that's good. There are other things. He's going to add cops. Great. And there are other things that he could use to separate himself from Joe Hogsett. But what's the centerpiece and what's getting all the attention? The fact that his public safety plan simply regurgitates, emulates, copies Joe Hogsett's gun control plan, which is to quote unquote ban assault weapons, raise the minimum age to buy any gun in Marion County to 21. Well, you already have to be 21 to buy a pistol from a gun dealer. So really, this only impacts rifles and shotguns. And also to repeal constitutional carry. I spent 10 years, maybe this is why I'm so ticked off about this. I spent 10 years getting constitutional carry passed. We got it done last year because it's the right thing to do. Because criminals don't care about a permit or a license. You think some criminal who's a drug dealer, who's about to murder his rival drug dealer, is going to go, oh, wait, I shouldn't carry my gun because I don't have a license. Of course not. They don't care. They never have cared. Ask any cop. You think criminals will stop carrying guns if they don't have a license? Oh, please. They'll laugh at you to your face. So the rest of us who are law-abiding citizens shouldn't have to pay a fee, or even now that lifetime licenses are free, we shouldn't have to go beg permission from the government to exercise a right we already have that's guaranteed to us both in the Second Amendment and Article 1, Section 32 of the Indiana Constitution. If I'm already guaranteed a right, why do I have to go ask the government for permission to exercise it? That's what constitutional carry is all about. But it only applies to law-abiding citizens. If you're a prohibited possessor, if you're a felon, you can't carry under constitutional carry. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you can. If you're a domestic batterer, you can't carry under constitutional carry. If you're under a domestic violence order of protection, you can't carry under constitutional carry. If you're an illegal alien, you can't carry under constitutional carry. If you're not a person who's eligible to legally possess a firearm under both state and federal law, constitutional carry does nothing for you. But we're gonna battle crime, according to Jefferson, Shreve, and Joe Hogsett, by repealing constitutional carry. Does that make any damn sense? So it makes me mad. But it makes me mad because of the bottom line is this. The laws he's talking about, the ability to walk into a gun store and buy a rifle or a shotgun at 18, 19, or 20. By the way, we're going to ban so-called assault weapons. I want to go in to a gun store. I want to buy an AR-15. I want to start competing in three-gun, rifle, shotgun, pistol. What does everybody use in three-gun? AR-15. I want to start competing. I want to go buy. No, I can't do that. Well, who can legally walk into a gun store and buy an AR-15 today? A law-abiding citizen who can pass the background check. Every element of this so-called public safety plan in terms of the gun control elements of it only apply to law-abiding citizens. So he's saying that law-abiding citizens having these legal rights right now in Indianapolis is the cause of the violence in Indianapolis. Not only is that ludicrous, it's placing blame on the law-abiding citizen rather than the damn criminals who are getting turned loose by the criminal justice system left and right. The people who are out on ankle monitors, even though they're awaiting trial on violent felonies. It's ignoring the problem and placing the blame at the feet of law-abiding citizens. That is not okay. That makes me angry. And you know what makes me more angry? That it's coming from a Republican. I expect it from Joe Hogsett because he's responsible for the horrific downward trend of this city over the last 8 years. So he's got to deflect from that. He's got to get your attention somewhere else. Well, I know. It's all about the guns. We need to pass gun control. That'll fix it. I expect Joe Hogsett, he's deflecting. He's trying to avoid responsibility. Why on God's earth, if you're running for mayor against Joe Hogsett, do you give him a free pass on his biggest vulnerability and buy in, endorse his theory that it's about the guns and it's about the law-abiding citizens? Not only is that stupid, but it's blaming the law-abiding citizen rather than the criminals. And while it made me angry coming from Joe Hogsett, it sets me off when it comes from a Republican like Jefferson Shreve. That's why I've been invested. And I'll have a lot more to say about that, including this back and forth between me and his chief strategist. That's the official title that I've seen released by the Shreve campaign, so we'll stick with that. That is a guy named Mark Lubbers, and a really interesting historical fact about him. We'll be right back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. F?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you got it.
It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world.
It's a great world, everything's so.
This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg. Not only Central Indiana's premier arms dealer, but they are also the home of PA Jewelers, the jewelry store inside Premier Arms. They do a tremendous amount of estate buying, so they'll buy your used firearms, and then they buy your used jewelry. You know, the stuff from grandma that nobody wears anymore? They're buying it, and they have one-of-a-kind pieces that you are going to love. Rings, bracelets, necklaces, watches, the works. Check them out in Brownsburg, 317-858-3030, or online at premierarms.com.
Hey, this is Pastor Micah Beckwith.
And I'm Pastor Nathan Peternell.
And we serve at Life Church, and we got a podcast that we wanted to tell you about called Jesus, Sex, and Politics.
Yeah, you know all those things that the culture doesn't want to talk about that will scare you? Yeah, that's our bread and butter. We love it.
We're going to equip you on how to defend conservative constitutional values based in God's Word in this podcast. So tune in to Jesus, Sex, and Politics
wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
At Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, we're not just good at insurance. We're good at Maya's half duplex with a 2-car garage that holds more concerts than cars insurance. We're good at Summer's 2-bedroom rental with an outdoor balcony for taking her virtual yoga class insurance. And we're good at Audrey's 3-bedroom remodel with walls that just aren't thick enough insurance.
Could you guys close the door? It's show.
Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Fox News, I'm Samantha Liepman. The Southwest, including Phoenix, continues to swelter. Day 23 of 110-plus degree temperatures expected to stick around and expand.
38 days there where the temperatures have been 100 degrees or better. When we look long range, now we're looking at the 27th through the 31st. The only place likely to be average or cooler than average is the Pacific Northwest. The heat's going to expand to the north and to the east in the week ahead.
Fox weather meteorologist Craig Carrera have $2 and a dream. The Mega Millions jackpot rising to an estimated $820 million after no one won the top prize in Friday's night's drawing. According to the lottery, the prize is the 5th largest in the game's history with an estimated cash value of $422 million before taxes. America is listening to Fox News.
These are emails filling your employees' inboxes, downloads beaming from device to device, and any one of them could be a cyber attack. Is it possible to keep your small business safe? It is with Comcast Business Security Edge. It helps keep your connected devices protected, and you can monitor threat activity in real time. So this
Security threat
is the last thing you need to worry about. With Comcast Business, advanced security isn't just possible, it's happening.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $39 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Call or go online today to learn more. Offer ends 7/23/2023. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments. New 100 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Equipment, installation, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family heating and air.
Maintenance is going to drastically increase the efficiency and performance of your system. It's also going to significantly improve the longevity of it. People think that they are saving money by skipping their maintenance, and in reality, they're just shaving years off the life and increasing the consumption of that unit, spending a lot more in the long term.
Get your tune-up today at Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough? Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here
and welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. You got Jason Aldean playing there as bumper music. And what's he talking about? He's talking about the fact that people who are lawless, people that are criminals, people that commit crimes, people who do things like right at the opening of the song, he talks about someone who would sucker punch someone on the sidewalk. And that's right. That's taken right out of the videos. We've all seen it. I saw an elderly Asian lady in New York just walking down the street, get punched in the face, sucker punch, knocked unconscious, hospitalized. It says carjack an old lady at a red light or pull a gun on a man in a liquor store. I mean, those are all real events. And he's saying, you know what, try that in a small town. What's he saying? He's saying, you know what, there are citizens there who will stand up to that and protect their community. And that's now got the liberals all fired up. It's racist. It's racist. Anyway, I'll get back to that. I'll talk a lot more about that. So let's get back to the Indy mayor's race. So I've been very vocal. I've been very vocal on the Hammer and Nigel show. I've been very vocal here on my show, talking about how disappointed I am and angry I am that we have a Republican come out and join the bandwagon. And again, what's so insulting, because that's what it is. It's insulting. This is what the Shreve campaign doesn't get. Literally not smart enough to understand. Is that Republican voters in this county are going to be offended that it's a law-abiding citizen who's getting blamed for crime rather than the criminals. Because that's what this gun control policy says. And that's offensive. It's got a lot of people upset. So this week, again, I've been real vocal on social media. And at one point, I retweeted a picture that Hammer and Nigel tweeted. And it was the fact that a listener had taken a sign, a good-sized sign, and I'd say, I don't know, 3 feet by 2 feet, something like that. And it was a Jefferson Shreve campaign sign. And he took it and he ripped it up, put it on his hardwood floor, and took a picture of it. And he sent it to Hammer and Nigel and said, here's my reaction. I was a Shreve supporter. I heard his gun control proposal. I was so incensed, I ripped up his sign, and now I will not vote for him. And so I retweeted it and said, yeah, look what a listener sent to Hammer and Nigel. And I said, I don't know if Shreve and his idiot advisors are getting the message yet, but voters are sure trying to send the message that they're upset about these gun control policies. And that was out there, and, I had likes and retweets and whatnot. And all of a sudden, I get a reply to my tweet from a guy named Mark Lubbers. Who's Mark Lubbers? Mark Lubbers is, again, this chief strategist for the Jefferson Shreve campaign. And Mark Lubbers says, this is paraphrasing, that was a business card, not a sign. But like everything on this channel, I don't know if he's talking about channel, if he's talking about my Twitter feed or he's talking about WIBC, I don't know. But like everything on this channel, it's exaggerated for effect. And I looked at this and I'm like, okay. It's interesting that the Shreve campaign chief strategist is engaging me directly on social media. But I guess not too surprising because the guy had called me out in an article on a blog from a group called Importantville. I don't know who these folks are, but he had responded to my criticism of the Shreve gun control campaign by talking about, Relford and his ilk preach their gun religion from the gated communities of Carmel. What? I don't live in a gated community. I don't live in Carmel. I sure as hell don't live in a gated community. I live in a 3-bedroom, 1-story house. I love my house, don't get me wrong. I built it 23 years ago. But it's not a big house, and it's sure as hell not in a gated community. So same guy now comes after me on social media, and he wants to nitpick me, saying I was a business card, not a yard sign. First of all, does that make any difference? If a voter supported you and now doesn't support you anymore, and they demonstrate that by ripping up a business card or a yard sign, does that really change the message that you ought to be receiving, Mark Lubbers, Jefferson Shreve? Well, of course it doesn't. But, by the way, not long after that, the guy who sent it to Hammer and Nigel sends me a message and says, that was a sign. It was a sign I got actually at the victory celebration after Jefferson Shreve won the primary. And they had a victory celebration off downtown in Fountain Square. And he's down there and he's supporting Jefferson Shreve, and he gets handed this sign as part of his enthusiasm for Jefferson Shreve having won the primary and is now going to go out and take on Joe Hogsett. So he's a supporter. He's a sure vote until the Shreve gun control policy comes out. So I lay all this out from this Mark Lubbers guy, but then I said, by the way, let's don't debate these ridiculous things here. Come on the show. Bring Jefferson on. And I have a very basic question for you. I want you to come on. You can say whatever. You're upset about anything that I've said on social media or on the air. Come on the show. So I'll give you both microphones, 2-on-1. One little old Guy Relford sitting over here, and you can have each a microphone. And by the way, open invitation. I know somebody from the Shreve campaign's listening. Give you each a microphone, live radio, 2-on-1, come in. But here's a question I want you to answer. Because under the Indiana Constitution, all the city of Indianapolis can do is pass an ordinance. They can't pass a law that puts people in jail. So on this assault weapon ban, quote unquote, on raising the age to buy a gun, on repealing constitutional carry, where if you don't have a license and you're carrying a handgun in Indiana, you would violate this new law. The city of Indianapolis can't pass a criminal statute that puts you in jail. They can't do it under the Indiana Constitution. Only the state can do that. Or the federal government, obviously. So all the city can do is pass an ordinance. What do you get if you violate an ordinance? You get fined, a fine. So I said, here's my question. Mark Lubbers, chief strategist for the Jefferson Shreve campaign, and bring old Jeffy in. Put his butt in a chair right in the studio. Give him a microphone live. Here's the question I want to get an answer from you guys on. How do you support the idea? How confident are you that a violent criminal who's otherwise inclined to commit a violent crime in Marion County, and for that is not afraid of the death penalty for committing a murder with aggravating circumstances, for multiple decades in prison by committing a violent crime like murder or rape. He's not afraid of decades in prison. He's not afraid of dying in a shootout with his fellow bad guys or with police. None of that phases him. He's willing to commit this violent crime, but is going to give up his violent ways because you, Jefferson Shreve, are going to fine him? Fine him. Doesn't care about life in prison or the death penalty. He's worried about a fine for violating an ordinance. That's your theory? Come on the Gun Guy show and explain that one. What did I get after that? Crickets. Crickets and more crickets. We're way late going into this break. We always are. Carl's rolling his eyes at me. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a bit. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
61% of Americans are more afraid of running out of money in their old age.
It's not that surprising.
I saw a meme and I just thought it was everything. It was like, okay, so Europeans, I'm going to take the summer off because I want a suntan. Americans, I'm going to take 3 days off to have open heart surgery.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. We've got a couple different versions of our Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class coming up. They're mostly the same. We tweaked it just a little bit for police officers. We've got Essentials of Indiana Gun Law for cops. Putting that on at City Hall in Columbus on Thursday, August 8th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Any law enforcement officer from any department, you're welcome to come, and you can sign up right online. And in addition to that, for private citizens like me, we've got Essentials of Indiana Gun Law Saturday, August 19th at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. That's in Avon, Indiana. They're both $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
The U.S. home price index is on the rise and interest rates are stabilizing. The market is turning more seller-friendly. If you've been waiting, now may be the best time to sell your home. Find out with the agent I recommend, Mark Dietl. Maybe you want to maximize your equity from your home, but not sure how. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Kevin and Lori had to say about working with Mark Dietl. Our family was growing and our house was too small. We found a bigger home, but we needed to sell our current home for top dollar to afford the bigger place. The Mark Dietl team made it happen. Our home sold in 7 days, but they made sure we closed on both houses in the same day. Amazing. Call for all the details. Call the agent I trust and recommend and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl at 317-755-4232 or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
AE Ammo is Greenwood's ammunition superstore. The largest variety in training, hunting, and self-defense ammo with the best prices locally guaranteed. Factory new 9mm FMJ ammo starting at $12 per 50-round box. Factory new 50-round boxes, $380 from $14.99 and 45 ACP from $18.99. And with the AE Ammo Customer Rewards Program, start earning points today towards money back to use on future purchases. Shop in-store or online at aeammo.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
4 races, 3 days. The stars of NASCAR and IndyCar return for Brickyard Weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Friday, August 11th, the next generation of Indy NXT by Firestone takes to the road course.
Saturday features the NTT IndyCar Series Gallagher Grand Prix, followed by the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pennzoil 150 presented by Advance Auto Parts.
Then Sunday the 13th, the NASCAR Cup Series takes on the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard.
Power, speed, precision.
And family friendly. Kids under 15 get in free.
Tickets at ims.com.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month. But you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
The latest local news, commentary from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, podcasts. Listen to the station live, whenever, wherever, online at WIBC.com. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford. The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. That bumper music you hear in there is Jason Aldean. Try that in a small town. Talking about how you see a lot of violence in a lot of places, say like Indianapolis, particularly Joe Hoxett's Indianapolis. And the whole theme of the song is try that in a small town. You know what? We look out for each other. We look out for our community. You're not going to get by with that in a small town. And again, it's the number 1 country song in the country. At the same time, it's been pulled off of country music television because the song and Jason Aldean are being accused of being racist. We'll talk more about that later in the show. And we've got just a very short segment here. But the other question that if Jefferson Shreve were to come in here, and obviously he's not, I keep throwing the invitation out there. When he first put his public policy plan out, before I got nearly as aggressive in criticizing him as I've been, I went to his website, went to the media contacts, said, hey, I'd love to have Jefferson on my show. I didn't get so much as the courtesy of a response. However, he's apparently coming on Rob Kendall's show on Wednesday. And listen, I don't often listen to Rob, in fact, pretty much never, because that's in the middle of my work morning. I'm busy. I'm doing the things I need to do to make a living. So I don't hear Rob and don't listen to Rob. But I'd be fascinated if we can get an answer to that question. But here's the other question I would like answered, which is, how do you get votes away from Joe Hoxett? Most of the elections here in Marion County, it's been about 40% Republican, 60% Democrat. So you got to bridge that gap. How are you going to take votes away from Joe Hoxett when you've just become another Joe Hoxett? I mean, if somebody likes Joe Hogsett's gun control policies, they're going to vote for Joe Hoxett. Just because you have the same policies, they're going to go, oh, wow, I like it coming out of that guy's mouth more than Joe Hogsett's. But the other is, how are you going to make up for the people you lose because your base is pissed off? That's what I'd like for Rob to ask, and I'd like to hear an answer. Right now, we're coming up on the top of the hour. It's time to take a break. We're back for hour number 2 on The Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
There's no hiding from Bluebell Monster Cookie Dough ice cream. Creamy vanilla ice cream, peanut butter monster cookie dough, brown sugar, candy-coated chocolate, and dark chocolate flavored chunks. It tastes so good, you'll need a bigger bowl.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell Ice Cream at select Kroger stores and Walgreens.
Hi, this is Denny Smith. Over 17 years ago, I was aging in a way that was starting to scare me. I was eating too much and exercising too little, and I just didn't have time to commit to 3 hours a week in the gym. I'd heard about Exercise Inc. and their 20-minute-a-week workouts, but I just didn't believe it was possible to do any good. I was wrong, and I'm living proof. I used to be flabby and out of shape, but I'm not anymore because this regimen works. It's individualized and it's direct, and by golly, it feels great not to be aging the way I see others aging. I really am in the best shape of my life. My weight is under control. I feel strong and I feel healthy. And listen, this is no kidding. It is hard work, but it's only 20 minutes a week. 17 years and counting, and you can do this too. And more importantly, you should do this. Pick up the phone and make the call for the free evaluation. 317-750-2219. 4 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and coming soon in May to Fishers too. 317-750-2219 or go to exerciseinc.com.
Parenting is hard. Technology can make it harder. The Family Media Plan developed by the American Academy of Pediatrics helps make it easier. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan to create the media plan that's right for your family. Whether you make a full plan or just choose a few parts that matter the most to your family, healthychildren.org/media plan is an easy-to-use tool that will help your family set media priorities and create healthy digital habits in line with your family's values. You'll also get practical tips to help make the plan work. And you can come back to revise your plan as often as you need to, like at the beginning of each school year or during summer and holiday breaks. Raising kids in the age of screens is easier when you have a plan. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan and make your plan today.
Broadcasting from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
A possible smoking gun. I'm Samantha Liebman, Fox News. An unverified document brought to light alleging President Biden and his son Hunter were paid to help get Ukraine's top prosecutor fired. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson has more.
2 IRS whistleblowers testified that both Joe Biden and his son Hunter each received $5 million to get Ukraine's top prosecutor fired when Biden was vice president and his son was a board member of the same Ukrainian energy company that prosecutor was investigating. These new allegations come from an unclassified FBI document made public by Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, a document one of the IRS whistleblowers says he was never allowed to see. None of this FBI document can be verified. Some said the same thing about the Steele dossier and other allegations into former President Trump for many years.
The White House says this document has been debunked before. President Biden considers AI a top priority, and some tech companies agreeing to a new set of rules to help limit the dangers of artificial intelligence.
7 major companies investing in artificial intelligence agreed to self-regulate any new rollout of this new technology. Amazon, Google, Meta, which owns Facebook, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Inflection. Now, Microsoft President Brad Smith believes this will be enough to make people feel more comfortable about using AI and will limit abuses. All 7 of the companies agreeing to add watermarks on anything generated by artificial intelligence. Those watermarks would identify which product would make a video or audio, so consumers will not be fooled. The companies agreed to external testing by an expert in the specific fields where AI is being used, with the results being made public, also increasing investment in cybersecurity.
Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence. President Biden nominating Admiral Lisa Franchetti to lead the Navy. If confirmed, Franchetti would become the first woman to be a Pentagon service chief and the first female member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. America is listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
5 inches of rain by tomorrow.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A busy Saturday morning for police. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending this hour. 2 shootings Saturday morning throughout Marion County. The first was early Saturday on the east side near 13th and Rural, where a person was grazed by a bullet. Then a fatal shooting in Canby. IMPD says that a person was found dead inside of a home there. Not much else to go on yet, they say. There has been a lot of rain throughout Indiana, but the drought remains.
Now, looking at the latest drought monitor, there's still sections of Indiana that are having some trouble. Now, when we get into southern Indiana, they look like they're in the best shape right now, and they've had a little bit more rain than we've had.
Randy Bowers with the National Weather Service says that the northwest quadrant of Indiana is still under severe drought, which means there could be crop damage. A man from Indiana is locked up in Florida, accused of kidnapping his children. Donnie Burgess.
It all went down July 14th. The cops say Derek Jordan left Franklin and drove down to Palm Coast, Florida. Jordan apparently walked right through the unlocked front door, pushed Grandma to the ground, grabbed his 3- and 4-year-old kids, and drove off. He was found about 2 hours later. The kids are okay, and he was arrested. Jordan apparently told police he fully intended on taking the kids. The mother says she refused to let Jordan see them because he's in trouble back home. Court records show Derek Jordan faces several battery and resisting charges. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
NDOT kicking off a handful of 465 ramp projects causing some lane restrictions throughout the city. The 465 Northwest ramp over westbound 86th Street will be closed until July 24th. The same can be said for ramps around Crawfordsville Road. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Sunshine heading into the afternoon today. We'll see low humidity values with highs near 83. Tonight, partly cloudy and comfortable with lows near 61. I'm Wish TV's Storm Tracking meteorologist Tara Hastings for 93 WIBC.
As our loved ones age, ensuring their safety at home becomes a top priority. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. I'll be right back with some practical things you can do to reduce the possibility of a fall or injury.
At Cardon Senior Living Communities, you'll find our teams share a commitment to enhancing the lifestyle and well-being of the people we serve every day at every stage of life.
Removing tripping hazards such as rugs and floor clutter is one way to prevent or minimize falls around the home. Another is to position grab bars in the restroom and other common areas where your loved one may need some extra support. Contact your local area agency on aging to inquire about low-cost or free installation services. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access the library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for hour number 2 of the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. I'm Guy Relford. And in hour number 1, I was talking about why it is I'm so passionate and frankly so angry over what's going on in the Marion County mayor's race, the Marion County / Indianapolis mayor's race. It may sound weird for me to say county mayor's race, but we have what's called Unigov in Marion County, which is the city and the county are essentially one governmental unit. That's why you call it the Indianapolis-Marion County City-County Council. And by the way, I had a hearing this past week on Wednesday, and it was all the way down in Ripley County, and the county seat is Versailles, Indiana. And if you're listening to me say Versailles, and you're familiar with geography much, you may be rolling your eyes going, well, no, you idiot. It's pronounced Versailles. And in fact, literally right at 40 years ago, I thought the same thing. And my very first hearing, very first time I got to stand up on my own 2 feet as a brand new rookie lawyer back in 1983, so literally right at 40 years ago, was in the Ripley County Circuit Court. And I got to go down there to argue a motion. And I'm probably the only one in the history of the universe who's ever been stupid enough to get lost in Ripley County, but I got turned around, well, obviously, a few decades, if not generations before GPS. And I was a little late getting to the courthouse. And anyway, I came rushing in, and it was the summertime, and I was all sweaty and nervous, and the lawyer for the other side was already there. He's a local guy, and the judge was on the bench, and so I'm late. I'm embarrassed. I'm apologizing, and I said, Your Honor, I'm so sorry. It's my first time to Versailles, and I got a little turned around. And the judge looked at me, and he said, Son, Versailles is in France. You're in Ripley County. And I didn't know exactly what that meant, but on the way out, I had one of the court personnel, the bailiff, say, it's for sales. So yes, it's for sales. But I got to tell you, on the way back, and this is actually, it was only 2 or 3 days ago. It was before I even heard about this controversy over the Jason Aldean song that we've been playing as bumper music. Try that in a small town. But I got to tell you, on the drive back, on the way down there, I was thinking about the hearing. I was thinking about what I was going to say. I was thinking about my court case. There's a case down there I really ought to win for my client, and this was just a pretrial conference, but still, there was important things I had to think about. On the way back, though, hearing's over. I'm just driving back, and the drive to Ripley County to Versailles, you essentially go out 74 to Greensburg, and then you get to 231. And then you wind around really on, which is pretty much for the most part, either going through small towns or you're out on a 2-lane blacktop road. And it's a perfectly fine road. It was actually kind of a nice drive, but you're going through these little towns. And man, I kept thinking, and again, this is kind of ironic because it was before this Jason Aldean thing, before I even knew about it. And I was looking at these little towns. There was one little town called Osgood. And I'm driving through, and like, every business, every home, everybody had an American flag out on their house. Every single one of them. And the businesses, a lot of them didn't even just have flags. They had what do they call it? Bunting, the red, white, and blue banners that they had hanging on the front of their buildings. And just the bumper stickers and the signs and windows, and they were still a lot up from the 4th of July. And a pickup truck passed me as I was going through Osgood, and there's this big sticker, stencil-like thing in the back window of this pickup truck, and it said "Dirty hands, clean money," and I loved that. I've never seen that saying before, and I had this thought, and I thought, all this controversy going on, I've been fighting these battles on social media, and again, I'll talk more about my back and forth with a brilliant strategist for Jefferson Shreve, this guy named Mark Lubbers, and I'm going, somebody in this town right here would think we're all nuts in Indianapolis. They would look at what's going on like, I'm sorry, some politician's going to tell me what gun I can have? Some politician's going to say my 19, 20-year-old who just got back from military service can't go buy his own gun? What are you talking about? You guys are from another planet. We're talking about blaming law-abiding citizens for crime? You're living in a county, one county, that now it's not even newsworthy when we have 200 murders in a year. Now, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people here, but still. I mean, I literally started thinking about these people in this town. Yeah, it's an hour and a half from Indy. Well, it's an hour and a half from my office in Carmel, so a little over an hour from Indy. It might as well have been another planet. Those people in that little town would have thought I'm sure they do, think we're just nuts. And I had it was so funny that all this broke, and even this, having had that, and I even said that to my wife when I got home, not knowing anything about Jason Aldean or this controversy over his song. But I thought, what's going on in Marion County politics right now just must seem like a complete foreign language. These much more rational, much more logical people living in this small town. But here's a fact that you may not know that may explain a lot. And what happened is, after this quote-unquote chief strategist, Mark Lubbers, came after me on social media. Well, and in fairness, I responded when they had this article on this blog, Importantville or whatever, and he talked about me preaching my gun religion from the gated communities of Carmel. I responded on last week's show. And I never heard of the guy before. I had no idea. And it turns out, talking to my folks that I know that have long history in Indiana politics, they all knew who he was. Like, oh yeah, he's run a bunch of campaigns, and yeah, he's an inside political guy here in Indiana. I'm like, okay. But I was a little surprised that a Republican and a guy running as a strategist, a Republican campaign will come after me as a two-way guy. That felt weird to me. And then I post this tweet that says, look, here's a guy who was supporting Jefferson Shreve, had his sign. I did not know at the time, but it turns out, as I mentioned earlier on, it was a sign he got at the victory celebration when Shreve won the primary. This guy showed up. He took his own time to go to the victory celebration for Jefferson Shreve at Hotel Tango in Fountain Square. And he got a sign and he took it home, and he's all in on Jefferson Shreve. Yes, we're going to get Joe Hogsett out of here. Then he hears the gun control proposals from Shreve, tears up the sign, takes a picture, sends it to Hammer and Nigel. I retweet it. So Mark Lubbers, street chief strategist, comes after me and says, oh, that was just a business card. Just like everything here, you're exaggerating. I'm like, well, hold on. That's odd. First of all, it was obviously wrong because the picture was taken, torn up signs on a guy's hardwood floor. It takes up like 6 slats of his hardwood floor. That's a business, but what difference does it make? But then I just click on his name because there was no picture, and I was actually concerned that it was some kind of a troll fake account. I thought, oh my gosh, if I'm going back and forth with this guy and it's not even the real Mark Lubbers, I'm going to feel like an idiot. So I went to his account, and it's kind of odd because there's like no profile picture. But if you look at his posts, he doesn't post very much. He posts 3 or 4 times, tweets, whatever word you want to use, a year. I mean, literally, not very much at all. But one of his most recent tweets was bragging about a campaign commercial that he did for Richard Lugar when Richard Lugar was senator, state of Indiana. And he said, this is one of my favorite commercials I ever did for Richard Lugar. And it was Richard Lugar explaining in this campaign commercial why he voted for an assault weapon ban when he was a United States senator. And that was right there on the very first page. I didn't even have to scroll. And I went, hold on. This guy is not only chief strategist for the Jefferson Shreve campaign, he was the campaign manager. Because I went and Googled it. I Googled Richard Lugar and Mark Lubbers. Came up, a bunch of interviews, quotes. He was campaign manager, long-time campaign manager for Lugar. Lugar was in the U.S. Senate as a senator from Indiana for over 30 years. Who's his campaign manager? Mark Lubbers. And I immediately went back on my own institutional memory as a long-term Indiana guy. a guy who's long been focused on Indiana politics and long been focused on Second Amendment. Richard Lugar was respected and loved by a lot of Hoosiers. You know why he got beat in a Republican primary? He got beat by a guy named Richard Murdoch. Murdoch later melted down in his general election against Joe Donnelly and had a horrible quote about rape pregnancies. It was a huge political gaffe that we still talk about here in Indiana, and he ended up getting beat by Joe Donnelly. It's how we ended up with a Democrat senator instead of Dick Lugar. But you know why Murdoch beat Lugar? Well, this is beloved, respected, longtime senator from Indiana. A lot of people respected him on a personal level, professional level. But Richard Lugar did vote for an assault weapon ban in 1994. And Mark Lubbers at the time was his campaign manager and is proud of the anti-Second Amendment commercial he had Richard Lugar do and put it on his Twitter feed. And there's this whole discussion of how they had to take on the NRA and they were going to beat the NRA. And this is a Republican. And what happened when the NRA, on the heels of all of this, now, in fairness, Richard Lugar got reelected more than once after he voted for an assault weapon ban. But eventually, NRA came out and gave him an F rating. My recollection is, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, first time ever a Republican senator had gotten an F as in Frank, rating from NRA. And NRA endorsed Richard Murdoch, his primary opponent, and a 30-plus year incumbent as a Indiana U.S. senator got beat in the primary because of his anti-Second Amendment views and because the NRA gave him an F rating and endorsed his opponent, and Hoosiers were sick of the anti-Second Amendment rhetoric, anti-Second Amendment votes, including going back to 94 and the assault weapon vote, and finally said, enough is enough. We love you. You're Indiana's native son, but we're not sending you back to the U.S. Senate with that kind of anti-Second Amendment history and voting record. And Richard Murdoch won the primary, very specifically for that reason. Look it up. Google it. And Lugar said as much himself. So then was the aha moment. Hold on. We have, in the case of Richard Lugar, not only a viable but successful, long-time successful Indiana politician whose career gets run into the dirt and who loses an election he ought to won a primary from an incumbent? How often does that happen? He did it because he attacked the Second Amendment. And who was his advisor? Who was running his campaign? Who was whispering in his ear on those issues? Mark Lubbers. And now a Republican candidate for mayor who you would expect to support the Second Amendment, who you would expect to try to distinguish himself from Joe Hogsett and say, oh no, Hogsett is blaming law-abiding citizens when we ought to be focused on the criminals instead. Oh no, he buys in. He's blaming the Second Amendment. He's blaming guns. He's blaming your constitutional right to possess a firearm in Marion County for the crime in Marion County. He's blaming the Second Amendment. He's taking on the NRA, quote unquote. And that was exactly what they said in this Importantville article. What's the common denominator? What explains the idiocy of that? It is an exact replay of what Mark Lubbers, chief strategist for Jefferson Shreve, did to Richard Lugar's career, and in fact ended his political career by apparently talking him into opposing the Second Amendment. That's what killed Richard Lugar's career in the Senate. And for some reason, I'd love to hear an answer to this question. Rob Kendall, you listening? Why on God's earth, when a guy just ended the political career of one of the most beloved politicians in Indiana history, what makes you think that's a good decision to have him bring him in and run your campaign, Jefferson Shreve? And when he says, I know the way to get you elected is to oppose the Second Amendment, And maybe Jefferson Shreve's a lot younger than I am, a lot younger than Mark Lubbers is. Maybe Jefferson Shreve doesn't have any idea. I don't know. But wouldn't you love to say, gosh, Jefferson Shreve, did you ask your advisor who's leading you down this road that maybe it's not a very good idea because, say, it was the death knell for Richard Lugar's political career? That seems like that would be a logical question. Interesting fact, you heard it here first. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Life's certainties. Taxes.
We'll take that. That's all I had left.
Death. And Indianapolis traffic.
Hey, hon, where are you? Now, you know, sitting on the northeast side, I'm never coming home.
Do less sitting.
I hate traffic.
And do more living.
The long-term ramp closure.
Matt Baird traffic.
Eastbound 465. Ramp will be closed through 2024.
Mornings and afternoons.
Lane restrictions on the northeast side.
On 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. We've got an Essentials of Indiana Gun Law for Cops class coming up. This is Thursday, August 8th. If you're a police officer, you and your fellow officers really ought to come to this. It's going to be in Columbus, Indiana. It's being hosted by the Columbus Police Department, but any department, members of any department are certainly welcome. It's Thursday, August 8th from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. in City Hall in Columbus. We'd love to have you there. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. You know your department will pay for it as part of your in-service training. So come on out and learn what you need to know about Indiana gun laws for police officers. And then separately for private citizens, we've got our Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class coming up at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range in Avon, Indiana. That's Saturday, August 19th, also from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'd love to see you there. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Whether you're an experienced firearms owner or are just thinking about getting a new firearm, Atkinson Firearms in Greenwood has everything you need. With brands like Glock, Smith & Wesson, Canik, Colt, Henry, SIG, and much more. If Atkinson Firearms doesn't have it, they can get it. Plus accessories, from holsters to ammo and everything between. Atkinson Firearms is firefighter owned and veteran staff with a new larger location. Follow Atkinson Firearms on Facebook. Atkinson Firearms, off County Line Road next to the Greenwood Airport.
Hubler has all the top brands: Chevy, Buick, GMC, Ford, Acura, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and more. And every new vehicle includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Looking to sell your vehicle? We'll pay you top dollar, even if you don't buy ours. Take it from Brooke Hubler.
You can get a car anywhere, but you can only get a warranty like this at Hubler. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Visit drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
Warranty available on new vehicles except certain models, not transferable or available on leases. A copy of the warranty is available for review at the dealership.
Were you hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident? The insurance companies may chisel away any hope you have of winning your case, and they don't have the advantage of video proof that the hammer may have. Call us today or visit roadproof.wewin.com.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
I asked what kind of family she wanted. She said,
a family like yours.
Learn more about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
There are 48 million unpaid family caregivers in the United States. Visit aarp.org/caregiving to access a free guide to help navigate your caregiving journey. Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And you're listening to Jason Aldean and his song, which right now is number one country song in the country, but is getting yanked from radio stations, I should say, for being quote unquote racist and promoting vigilantism and violence. I'm going to talk more about that here in just a bit, but let's wrap up the discussion on the Indy mayor's race. And listen, I could easily see somebody thinking, I'm talking too much about this, but here's why it's a big deal to me. And that is, I don't think we can forgive a Republican candidate who, not so long ago, by the way, when he ran for Indiana State Senate in 2016, filled out a questionnaire for the NRA, and he answered all the right questions, that he would fight against an assault weapon ban. He'd support constitutional carry. And I don't know, listen, I didn't see the questionnaire, and they don't send it to me before they send it back to the NRA. But he had to have said all the right things to NRA because he earned what's called an AQ rating. What's that? It's where it's an A, but it's qualified based on the fact that he doesn't have an actual voting record. It's just based on his word, how he tells you he's going to vote, and what he tells you his views are and his beliefs are. And it was obvious to me that Jefferson Shreve answered that questionnaire when he was running for Indiana State Senate because he thought that was the best way for him to answer that in order to get elected. And he didn't get elected. He got beat by, my memory is, Senator Jack Sandlin, the incumbent. And Jack's a good guy. And we haven't always agreed on everything, but he absolutely is a great guy. He's a quality human being, and I consider him a friend. And Jack, as incumbent, won that election, and I'm glad Jack is still in the Indiana Senate, and he's done great things there. So Jefferson Shreve said what he felt like he needed to say in that election. Didn't quite work out. Then he goes through the primary once he announces his candidacy for Indy mayor, and strangely enough, as he's going through the primary, he doesn't say a word about gun control when he still has to win a primary against other Republican candidates. And by the way, look, he's got a lot of money. He was running a lot of commercials, certainly a lot more money than the other candidates, including our own beloved Abdul Hakim Shabazz. So maybe he could have still pulled it out, but I personally guess that if he would have announced, and this is no doubt in my mind intentional, if he would have announced his anti-Second Amendment gun control policies before the Republican primary, you think he still would have won the Republican primary? Or would that have allowed other candidates, including Abdul, to come out and go, hold on, this guy's a Republican? And he's stabbing us in the back on the Second Amendment? What the hell? This guy's a Republican and he's talking about a so-called assault weapon ban? But in this case, he didn't say what he felt like he shouldn't say. Why? In order to win an election. Now he's got the Republican nomination. Now he's got to beat Joe Hogsett. He's already on record with the NRA as having answered questions all the right way. Oh, yeah, I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. He hasn't said a word through the Republican primary, but then what's he do? He does what he feels like he needs to do to win an election. He stabs us in the back on the Second Amendment. Because he's looking at it and he's going, well, you know, Indianapolis, they've got more Democrats than Republicans, so I need to get some Democrats to vote for me. How can I do that? I know. I'll essentially become a Democrat when it comes to gun control. The failing in that theory is that if you already like Joe Hogsett's gun control policies, why would you switch your vote from Joe Hogsett to vote for Jefferson Shreve? What, you like the same policies coming out of this guy's mouth more than the other guy's mouth? Somebody you've already voted for a couple of times? How's that work? No, I'll go ahead and vote Republican, even though I've been voting Democrat consistently forever, because he's out there pushing the same policies as the Democrat I've already voted for. What? If you like Joe Hogsett's gun control policies, you're going to vote for Joe Hogsett. And the fact that the other guy with an R before his name happens to come out and copycat the whole damn thing doesn't make you want to switch your vote. In the meantime, Jefferson's base of Republicans are pissed, angry, mad. And while his strategist thinks it's somehow important to debate whether it was a business card or a campaign sign, it was a campaign sign, and he was dead wrong on that point. He's missing the entire big picture, which is that people are pissed, people are angry, and they're voicing it. So that leaves us with a big quandary. Again, I don't vote in Marion County. I don't live in Marion County. But for those of you who do, you're thinking, wow, I'd sure like for Joe Hogsett to get beat. Believe me, nothing I'd like greater when it comes to Indiana politics. Having said that, Jefferson Shreve is toast. He's done. He's lost so much of his base. And he's given no reason for any undecided or Democrat voters to shift away from Joe Hogsett. So he's done. So what should our objective be at this point? What I strongly advocate and believe is the best course of action is send a message, not just to Jefferson Shreve and his idiot advisor, Mark Lubbers, is that no, a Republican attacking the Second Amendment in Indiana will not stand. It is not okay. It is not acceptable to us. It is not a winning strategy. And I'll steal a quote. Somebody posted on my social media, it was Facebook. And he said, I hope, even though I despise Joe Hogsett, I would like nothing better than see him beaten. I hope Joe Hogsett wins this election, and this is a great quote, by Saddam-like percentages. Right? What's that a reference to? Well, like the elections, quote unquote, in Iraq before Saddam was deposed some time ago. And I got to tell you, I agree 100%. I hope it's ugly. I hope it's brutal. I hope Jefferson Shreve loses by the greatest percentage in the history of Indy mayoral election in the history of elections. Why? Because I want that message sent, not just to Jefferson Shreve, not just to his idiot staff, but to other Republicans who say the way to win an election in Indiana, I don't care, Marion County, anywhere else, is to stab us in the back on the Second Amendment. Oh, hell no. The answer is, oh, hell no. So go to the polls. You got you want to vote on or other offices, whatever it might be. Do a write-in vote. I've been saying, write in Abdul. Write in me. I'm totally ineligible. I can't be mayor in Marion County. But you know what? They know what I'm saying about their campaign. They see however many votes, write-in votes for Guy Relford. They'll know exactly what your message is. Because I've become a chief antagonist for these people. Make a protest vote. Save the trip. God, listen to me, man. I vote every election. I don't care what's going on. I will show up. I will vote. But do not vote for Jefferson Shreve. His campaign is toast. It has imploded worse than a defective submersible on the way to the Titanic. do not vote for this guy. And I'll be repeating that message between now and November. We're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
On the campaign trail, Ron DeSantis went to a couple different places.
I'm a very hardcore Trump supporter. This is the most important vote that we're going to have.
Who would be better at legislating, beating Joe Biden,
restoring this country to what the founding fathers envisioned?
Your heart against your mind. Trump against DeSantis. Who you got?
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Big news, Indiana. Did you know that you can now get up to $2,000 in federal tax credits when you install a new HVAC system?
As the state's leading HVAC provider, Peterman Brothers has secured priority access to new tax credit eligible equipment.
That means that you can optimize your home's comfort, reduce your utility bills, and save big when you install a qualifying new HVAC system with Peterman Brothers.
Visit PetermanTaxCredit.com to learn more and schedule online in seconds.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Discover Masterpiece Quilts at the International Quilters Hall of Fame celebration in Marion, Indiana, July 20th through 22nd. This amazing celebration features world-class exhibits, great workshops and lectures, and the induction of the 2023 honoree. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic, cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fox News, I'm Ted Lindner. The Southwest, including Phoenix, Arizona, continuing to bake. It's day 23 of 110-plus degree temperatures. The hot weather expected to stick around and expand.
38 days there where the temperatures have been 100 degrees or better. When we look long range, now we're looking at the 27th through the 31st. The only place likely to be average or cooler than average is the Pacific Northwest. The heat's going to expand to the north and to the east in the week ahead.
That's Fox Weather's meteorologist Craig Herrera. And no big winner in Friday night's Mega Millions jackpot drawing means that the jackpot now up to an estimated $820 million. The prize, the fifth largest in game history, with an estimated cash value of $422 million before taxes. The Powerball jackpot this past week paid one lucky winner in L.A. $1 billion. America's listening to Fox News.
AE Ammo is Greenwood's ammunition superstore. The largest variety in training, hunting, and self-defense ammo with the best prices locally guaranteed. Factory new 9mm FMJ ammo starting at $12 per 50-round box. Factory new 50-round boxes, $380 from $14.99 and $45 ACP from $18.99. And with the AE Ammo Customer Rewards Program, start earning points today towards money back to use on future purchases. Shop in-store or online at aeammo.com.
Hey, it's Big Joe for Absolute Comfort, your trusted independent American Standard Air dealer. And owner Chris Wedekin sells the Mitsubishi Electric Mini Split, a great option for heating and cooling where ductwork can't be installed.
If you have one of those homes that has baseboard heat or electric heat, ceiling cable heat, these can be specifically designed for those houses because in those houses it's very difficult having to do all the construction and remodeling that goes with adding ductwork into those types of homes.
Find out more by going to AbsoluteComfort.org. Absolute Comfort is your trusted independent American Standard Air Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work. Sorry, I'm late. Text and work.
Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
He's a Second Amendment attorney. He's an NRA certified firearms instructor. He's the gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk. Carjacking old lady at a red light. Pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So we're using as bumper music, as I've mentioned, Jason Aldean's #1 song on the country charts, I think, as they say. At the same time, it's been pulled from CMT, Country Music Television. I used to say country music television, CMT, is like the MTV of country, but I don't think they actually play music on MTV anymore, which is odd to me. I don't know. I haven't tried to watch. I remember, oh man, when MTV first came out, and it's the first time we'd ever seen music videos. That was crazy. And they were just god-awful by today's standards, but it was just, all of a sudden you can see your artist performing a song. You're not just listening to it. And they started doing all kinds of funky graphics and whatnot, and it was fascinating to me. So I was obviously very young. I don't know exactly when that came out. I would guess it was probably early 70s, if I had to guess.
No, MTV isn't like a 1980, 81.
Is it an 80 thing?
Yeah, not
okay.
70s.
All right. Maybe I wasn't as young as I thought. But at any rate, CMT, they play music and they do their top whatever countdown. Again, I don't watch CMT, but they're not playing Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town. And there are those out there, a lot of people out there. Social media is just replete. I mean, go on there on Twitter and do hashtag Try That in a Small Town. You'll get some tweets from me because I've commented on this. And people are upset. But why are they upset? I mean, first of all, as you've heard from some of the lyrics, and I think the most important lyrics are right at the start of the show, because then there's kind of a lot of repetition and whatnot. The idea is, do something really horrible and violent, like sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk. I mean, and again, you've seen that video. Again, a elderly Asian lady in New York was a big, strong guy, walks up and sucker punches her, just knocks her unconscious. She hits the sidewalk hard. And, carjack an old lady at a stoplight. I mean, he's saying there are certain things we won't tolerate in a small town. Small town America, you can't get by with those things. And I think what set a lot of people off is the video came out. I mean, again, the song's been out since May, and the video's been out for quite some time. For some reason, people are just now are deciding they want to be upset about it. But there's a video where in the background they're playing a lot of scenes from riots and people getting beaten. But it's not just riots. It's not just protests where, again, that are violent, destructive. He also shows robberies. Guy comes in a store, a shop with a gun out, hops the counter and pointing a gun at the owner. And the whole tenor is, look, in a small town, we take care of ourselves. We don't let this happen. We will take this upon ourselves to keep our community safe. And that's the message. And I have a hard time saying that promotes violence. It's not promoting violence. It's saying we stand up to violence. We will take it upon ourselves to stop violence. That's not violent. It's the antithesis of violence. It's saying we'll do what it takes. And at the end of the day, that's what the Second Amendment's all about. That's why I identify with this. And listen, we're at the 3/4 hour, a short segment. We're going to go ahead and take a break. I'll wrap up the show, giving you the rest of my thoughts, I should say, about this song and why I don't think it's remotely racist. And I don't think it promotes violence. And I think this is the cancel culture deciding they want to be offended by something that is just not offensive, and it's certainly not racist. Listen, if I thought it was remotely racist, I'd be condemning it in the strongest possible terms. It's just flat not. And I'll explain why when we come back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. F?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, sir.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you got it.
It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world.
It's a great world, everything's so.
This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Hey, if you're a cop and you want to know what you need to know on Indiana's gun laws, we've got Essentials of Indiana Gun Law for Cops coming up at City Hall in Columbus on Thursday, August 8th. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. We'd love to have you there. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. And I'm sure your department will fund that for you if you want to come on out. We'd love to see you there. This is hosted by the Columbus Police Department, but it's open to any officer from any department. And then we've got Essentials of Indiana Gun Law for the rest of us. That's Saturday, August 19th. That's going to be at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range located in Avon. We were just out there a few weeks ago. It's a great venue, nice, big, comfortable classroom, and we'd love to see you there. Also, $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. Either one of those, you can register at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
I'm a veteran. My victory was admitting I had PTSD and getting help.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I no longer see it as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. I call it post-traumatic growth.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
My victory was finding the help I needed.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
I'd rather be folding laundry.
This is gonna be fun.
Said no one ever. Also, no one enjoys wasting time in traffic. That's why we love saving you time. Matt Baird Traffic.
Backups are already starting.
On 93 WIBC. second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag.
And welcome back to the last segment here of The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So listen, here are my views on this song. And listen, I always have to be very mindful. I remind myself of this all the time. Like, I'm a middle-aged white guy, right? I've never walked in the shoes of anyone who's really experienced real racism. And obviously, I mean, it's going to be the most obvious thing I've ever said. Racism does exist in this country. And some people have suffered horribly because of racism. And I don't minimize that in any way, shape, or form. And there may be things out there that are racist that I don't recognize as racist because they're not directed at me. And I always have to remind myself of that. However, having done that and looked hard at it, I can't come up with anything racist about this guy's song. That is, Try That in a Small Town by Jason Aldean. He's saying, people out there committing these crimes, you don't come to a small town because we protect our community. You don't come here and try to commit those crimes. We won't let you. And yes, there's a reference indirectly to the Second Amendment where he says, I got a gun that my grandpa gave me, meaning I am equipped, I am ready, I am prepared to prevent violent crime in my community. And listen, the Supreme Court has said cops have no duty to defend you. None. A cop can watch you get murdered on the street and you can't sue him. The school resource officer that hid behind his car during the Parkland school shooting, he was sued. The courts threw it out. You can't sue him. He had no duty to run in there and save those kids. Kids were on their own. Teachers were on their own. You and I are on our own. Doesn't mean there aren't brave police officers out there ready and willing to help us. Of course there are, but they can't be everywhere. And so the song is just saying, we'll protect our own here in this small town. People say, well, that's directed at minorities. Hold on. First of all, the video where it shows riots and whatnot, from the videos, the portions of the video that I saw more white people protesting, tearing down U.S. flags, burning the U.S. flags. When you watch the Antifa protests and whatnot, it was more white people than black people I saw at a lot of those protests. And that's exactly what the video shows. It's not directed at any particular minority. And they don't highlight minorities in the video. And then to say, well, you're talking about you're going to prevent these crimes. Well, I'm sorry. I have a news flash for you. And this is exactly what I said to somebody on Twitter. Well, it's racist because you're saying, you're going to prevent people from, committing these acts and you're directing that at minorities. And I said, hold on. The song starts out, if you sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, if you carjack an old lady at a liquor store, carjack an old lady at a stoplight, if you pull a gun on a man in a liquor store, are you telling me you think only minorities commit those crimes? Because if that's what you're telling me that's directed at minorities? Because only minorities commit those crimes, so we must be talking about minorities, and that's why it's racist? I have a news flash for you. You're racist. You are the racist. Nobody in their right mind would say only minorities commit those crimes. Of course not. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. They're saying we will stand up and defend our community. And guess what? They are prepared and they're willing to do it. And at the end of the day, there is a connection here. And I thought about this the very first time I was reading about this controversy. The community is saying we will stand up and we will protect ourselves in a small town. In a lot of ways, in a small town, it's also because they have the capacity to do it. And what's happening more and more and more in the bigger towns and the larger cities, what's going on in them, we're experiencing exactly what we're talking about here in the Indy mayor's race, which is they're taking our rights away from us to protect us from defending our own lives and our own community. That's the point. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
I feel bad for the Johnson kids next door. Their parents just use their phone